supposed to be recording. There we go. Got it. All right. Give me a second. Thank you for that reminder. I get excited about the class and I forget about these because normally on the other no, got it. On the other venues, it's automatic that it goes out. There we go. Okay. All right. So back again. We don't really look at the television programming as to what it does to us because we're just looking to be entertained. But in my psych class, when the professors started telling us about the lucrative market for psychiatrists and psychologists in the advertising and television industry, we wonder how is that? And he said, well, one of the biggest number one places in the market is advertising agencies. They actually have psychiatrists and psychologists on the payroll who all they do is tell them what demographic, what ethnicity, what age group, what people will buy based on how they think. There are people who are paid to tell them. And we found out later on that there's a specific group, especially when it comes to fashion, that they look to, and the psychiatrists had identified this particular group as the target group for who you want to sell clothing to, because they will set the trend for the market. And that is African Americans age 18 to 30. They're the ones that dictate what people like, what's in style, blah, blah, blah. And especially when it comes to sportswear and entertainment. I'm like, wow. They determine what people buy. So before they will put an ad campaign together, they will first decide what demographic are they going to target. And so depending on the activity, in a certain age group. And the psychologists were the ones who would, give them the 411 on this. Well, television, same way. Programming is designed for the demographic of people that they want to watch this, because there are two things. They're selling the show and they're selling the advertisers on the show so that the advertisers will pay the money to fund the show. And this is what people want to see and what will be entertaining, but they also don't realize they are also doing something called subliminal programming. They want to run a commercial for, say, a particular issue that's going to be on the upcoming ballot. Well, 6 to 9 months before the vote, they will start putting ads on that cause people to focus on this particular issue, such as homelessness or such as the pandemic. They figure whatever it is they're pushing, you're going to start seeing advertising going that way. A lot of your algorithms on Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, what's the other one? I can't think. Snapchat, all the ones, that the kids use. And they start with that young group first. And it's actually gotten younger than the 18-year-olds. They go down as far as 13-year-olds because they're all tech savvy and using
11.
Technology. Huh?
11.
Oh, yeah, well.
Well,
That's those parents, yeah, that will allow them to have a phone and all that. But what you see is the trends, even like, if you click on an ad or something that comes on your phone, and all phones now are connected to Google. Most of them are connected to Google, because if you get a new phone, if your previous phone had all of your contacts stored in Google, or your phone is somehow connected to Google, whether it be an Apple or an Android, you still have your contacts stored connected to your Google email. And so they have all that information. So if you click on an ad, even if you don't even read it, you can click on it and then click it off and delete it. All of a sudden you start getting ads and emails on that, because the algorithm determines you showed interest. So that gets me to my point. Developing good behavior. We are not careful as to what is allowed into our minds, the gate of the mind. The scripture says, as a man, as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. The Hebrew translation is, as he is the gatekeeper of his mind, so is he. As he is the gatekeeper. How do you guard what's coming in your mind? And where does it come first? Two main gates. There's the eye gate and the ear gate. Things you hear cause you to have a visual, and things you see cause you to hear or to process it. But it's all what? Centered to end up in the mind, whether it be conscious or subconscious. And you make your decisions based on how you have formulated your ideas or thoughts based on what you've seen and heard, and then you formulate opinions also with the addition of experience and influence. So people around you who you consider influential to you, you value their opinions, excuse me. So that brings me to our topic for the night. Reality television. Why are Christians so into watching reality TV that portrays the exact opposite characteristics that are taught in the Bible how we should live? And then look at the dynamics of it. Okay. Now we have, I'm just going to name out some of them, and we're going to talk about them. There's this Love and Hip Hop, and they're different cities. I think they have LA, Miami, Atlanta, Chicago, and I think there was another one, New York. Then you have the Housewives. You have Atlanta, Orange County, Potomac. There's another one. There was one recently, Dallas. They got them several places, but Atlanta, I think, is where they started with it. Mm-hmm. Then you have this one called Married to Medicine. What a mess. Then for the well, I don't know. I think it was just more or less to really expose the Christian or the Black church. I don't think it was really for entertainment. They're slick on what they do. But you had the preachers of LA, preachers of Detroit, and then the preachers of Atlanta. Now, each one got worse than the previous one. Preacher of LA was bad enough. but them preachers of Detroit were a mess. Then the preachers of Atlanta they went all out. They were they covered the gamut. But that's what I want to talk about. How these programs are such a negative impact on how should I say, the representation of a particular ethnicity, which we happen to belong to. What a poor representation to the world. And here's the worst part about it. On all of those, I don't care how much money they have no class. And they don't know how to act civilized. I saw this one, see, I can't watch them. I saw this one, a part of an episode of the Married to Medicine. I've never seen the hip hop, either one of them. I remember when the Atlanta Housewives of Atlanta first come out, and my wife was telling me about it. She was going to start watching it, and I saw the intro, what they call it, the trailer. I said, "Oh, you don't want to watch that?" I said, "That's going to be a mess." She said, "What do you mean, DACUS? You always talking about TV." I said, "Well, I did my thesis on the subliminal brainwashing of television. So, I don't have time for all that foolishness." I said, "But I'm going to tell you right now, I got a problem with that show already." I said, "Look at the trailer. In the commercial, they show you 7 women. Of these 7 women, only 3 of them have husbands, but they're all housewives.
Mm-hmm.
The other 4, one is divorced, or in the process of a divorce, in a bitter battle with her ex that she hasn't been with for years, and they've been battling for years over custody and finance." I said, then the other one, she is I said, look at her. She's cheating with a married man who they've named nameless, and he's some famous guy in the music industry, some famous executive, but he's married and she's his side chick, and she calling him Big Daddy. I said, and then you got these other, huh?
I said Kim Zolak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had 2 others, and I said, so, and both of them weren't married at the time. One, I think, has gotten married since then. That was the girl, Candy, I think.
Yeah.
She's gotten married since then. But the point I'm making, they had these women on here, and it was crazy. I said, first of all, how do you be a housewife if you're not a wife?
Wife.
Okay, that was my first one. So I didn't watch that. Matter of fact, and because that came a little contention around my house, because I wouldn't even come up to the bed until after 10 o'clock, because I didn't want to sit in there while she watched all that foolishness to me. I just wasn't having anything to do with it. And then, so you got all of that going on. Then it came out. Now, I did watch the Preachers of LA. I said, well, I want to see what they're doing, what they're showing. And that became a big fiasco. I said, a bunch of buffoonery. All the stuff, you had one, guy who's a bishop. He's still crip walking and doing all his, gang stuff and bragging about, riding around with his Glock in his car and blah, blah, blah. Okay, y'all, it just was. And then one got his longtime girlfriend that he's, wasn't intending on marrying at the time. Well, he has recently married her last year, late in the year. But the whole thing was crazy, and all of those antics. Then the one, the Preachers of Detroit, I think I watched 2 episodes and I was done with it, because all the stuff they had these pastors doing and still saying they were pastors, so couldn't deal with that. And then I watched one episode of Pastors of Atlanta, and when I saw that they had this the homosexual bishop who started the gay marriage movement and was performing these same-sex marriages and then appointing these men as pastors and calling their mates first gentlemen instead of first ladies, you know, and all that fiasco and all the stuff that was happening with that. And, you know, I was done with that, so I couldn't watch that. And then one night I happened to go upstairs a little early. My wife is watching this show, the Married to Medicine. They were out of town, and this is before the pandemic. They were out of town for some holiday, and all the ladies were in white. They were at dinner. There was some kind of a beef going on between two of them, and one of them picks up a knife and getting ready to stab the other one at the table. All these women with all this money acting like hood rats. So yeah, this is what they call reality TV. And
the sad part about the Married to Medicine, all of them is educated.
All
they went
educated.
to college, and they all educated and doctors or dentists or, you know.
Or they married to dentists or doctors.
No,
yeah, and a couple of women are doctors.
Only 2 people on that show are married to doctors. Okay. All the rest of them women, they are professional doctors.
Wow. But see, that's even worse, you know.
I know.
That just goes to prove that education don't clear away your hood rat.
No. Well, that's like the lady 2 days ago in LA who got upset about something happened between her and her boyfriend, and she went 90 miles an hour down La Brea, crossed the street, hit 2 cars, and killed 5 people. Plus, one of the women was a woman who was pregnant, so she just got charged today with murder of 6 people over a man. So, and she's a nurse. Yeah. So education don't qualify you as being sane. All right, y'all, I'm done with my opening. That's what I want to talk about tonight. What is this whole thing we got with this so-called reality TV, and why are so many church folks watching this stuff? Do they really realize how, see, soap operas were messing the women up already, and now they got these nighttime soap operas. You know, they went from the soap operas to, I remember when Dallas was on and people were going crazy over that show, and JR and all his, you know, foolishness and stuff. And what was his wife's name? Anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. And people get into these characters as though they're real people. So all they did was take that concept and give you some real people and all of their drama. And here's the worst part of it. How is it reality TV when they will reshoot a scene if it don't go the way they think it ought to go out to the public? And that's already been proven in them, what they call them, oh Lord. They have one where this guy, he reviews the shows after every season. They talk about certain scenes and they admit that, oh, they reshot that because they didn't want so-and-so saying that on air. So they reshot the scene and told her to do it a different way. That's not reality. All right, I'm done. All right.
You done for real? You done for real? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Just making sure.
Devin. I'm hey, you're driving me to drinking.
That's a lot of tea.
Yeah, it's tea.
I want to hear what your brother has to say. He looks pensive.
Peach tea. It's tea, Sam.
I haven't watched any of those shows you mentioned. You know, I may have stumbled, you know, as I'm changing channels 30 30 seconds or less of it, but never really interested me. Now, for instance, I have watched some quote unquote reality shows like the one they in the jungle, Naked and Afraid and all that. But then but I peeped that the first time. I said, well, somebody's filming it, so they can't be by themselves.
Thank you.
And then I breathed in one place where they actually have the people in the production. They're nearby, and one guy got kicked off the show because he was robbing food from them, and they caught him. He's supposed to be surviving, but
well, that's surviving.
Yeah, I'm just saying, in the wild without
stealing.
Huh?
Without stealing.
Yeah. So I don't. It's not something that I'm interested in, so I haven't given it a lot of time. But some people, they say, well, it's entertainment. So, but they don't read their Bible or any of that stuff either. But I leave that alone.
Entertainment is my VHS tape of The Lion King, Pocahontas, Toy Story, all that good stuff.
Just give me Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny and
pay attention, son. Pay attention.
That's entertainment right there. And you get up and go do something else.
Yes.
I've only
seen. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's not only that, but for now, we don't get out as much as we used to. That's even children. It was punishment for us if Mama told us we had to stay in the house. Now it's punishment for them if we make them go outside.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And they are formulating their social thinking and interaction based on what these so-called reality shows are presenting. I mean, here's something. I saw a commercial of one of the what is it? Love and Hip Hop. The commercial, this girl is upset because the guy she just married, then had a baby by another woman. Now here's my problem. I thought about this. Then there was an argument on another one on YouTube where the girl was upset because she quit her boyfriend, and the neighbor asked her why. She said because she caught him cheating. And he said, what? How when anybody cheat on somebody fine as you? He said, well, what was wrong with him? He said, who's he cheating with? And she said, his ex. Now, here's the thing. She met him when he was with the woman. She cheated with him to get him. Then after he got with her, got mad because he cheated on her with the former woman. No, wait a minute. You got him cheating. And old folks used to say, if he'll cheat with you, he'll cheat on you. How does anyone formulate in their brain? I got him this way, but he don't be like that with me.
They don't formulate that. And I mean, they do, as far as what you just said, it's going to work for me, even though it didn't work out for who he was with before. But they don't ever think past that. They are solely, what's the word we're looking for? In denial. Yes. It takes a whole lot of in denial to really delude yourself into thinking that it's going to work out for me, even though it didn't work out for the other, woman, or, I can change him, or we're really in love, or, there's no strings attached. We're just gonna, do what we want to do, and stuff like that kind of thinking. And then you get into it, and all your feelings is hurt when you find out he cheats. You all been out of shape. Like, how could this happen to me? Well, because you deluded yourself. You firmly believed that it was going to work out for you. And when you set yourself up to fail like that, ultimately you will fail. And then, you're all upset. And it's a vicious cycle because they do it over and over and over again. And they never learn from it. Some do, but a majority, they don't learn from it. Even when your friends are telling you, girl, that's not going to work, or telling the guy, she's no good for you. No, it'll work out for me. It'll work out for me. And then it doesn't. And then they're all surprised, and then they're all hurt because, oh, why didn't you guys tell me? Well, we told you, but you didn't want to listen. So it's just this vicious cycle. They just really deep in denial. And when you do that to yourself, you just set yourself up to fail.
And it's no different than addiction. You can see the effects of certain things on other people, but you tell yourself, well, that's not going to happen to me. I'm stronger than that. Or I'm, I can just do it in moderation, and things like that. And then you fool yourself, and the next thing you know, you become an addict.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It also, I said it also reveals the real character of individuals who are entertained by that kind of stuff. Because as much as, some people want to say, well, I would never do nothing like that, only because I remember, and I said this to a guy one time, that, some preachers were together and he talking about what he had done.
You mean about a person's character?
Well, this guy, I was getting ready to give an example. He was talking about how, he was faithful and blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, I said, man, the only reason you still faithful, I said, because I hear all the stuff you talk about and what you watch on television and listen to. I said, the only reason you still faithful because you haven't been given opportunity. If you're drawn to something, it reveals there's something of your character. Even you may not even be consciously aware of it, but there's something going on subconsciously. Like people will say, well, I would never do that. And then some years later saying, yeah, I said I would never do that, but I ended up doing it. And even though I regret it, I knew better. Well, see, we don't always be honest with ourselves about some of the things we're drawn to. And it's not always something that's known. It could be a subconscious thing. And you don't even think about it. There's some things I did I never thought I would do. But things that attract you can distract you. And you have to be very careful about attractions and distractions because they will suck you into stuff. Like the first time, I always said, well, I would never do no drugs. And I remember the first time I was riding with a friend of mine, and he used to always, he was one of my good friends, fishing buddy, and he used to always be smoking weed in the car, and he was hitting his car going fishing. He tried to pass me his joint. I said, man, I don't do that stuff, and blah, blah, blah. One day he passed it and I took it. It shocked him. Took me 7 years to get rid of that stuff. I'm just telling you, you never know about certain things. But if you let yourself be entertained, and also there's certain people who you are around, because I'm gonna tell you, my thought, even when I took it, now I was upset about something that just happened, and I'm going, let me try this stuff, because it ain't hurt him and it ain't gonna hurt me. Yes, it does. You just don't know it, and you don't see it coming. It's how people get into drinking, smoking. I mean, a lot of stuff. They'll say adamantly, I would never do this or that. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself that people will find themselves doing stuff they said they would never do. So that's what I mean about it reveals your character. So even if certain things are attracting you, like I hear a lot of times, people say, well, men cheat more than women. I don't believe that. Because if he's cheating with another woman.
True that.
I think it's equal.
Exactly. They cheat as much as the other. You know,
They just do it different ways.
Yeah. And then, you know, here's the one that kills me. Well, I only cheated because they cheated on me.
Like that makes it right.
Exactly. You know, that's and I'm gonna tell y'all, my biggest shocker traveling in the circles I've traveled in was to see how much that mess was in the church among leaders. I just don't talk about it. And it's when I see the stories on YouTube and, you know, I see the stories on the social media and all the stuff that's going on, I'm not shocked about it.
Mm-mm.
I'll tell y'all this. I traveled with a group of preachers for a few years and they stopped traveling with me because they said, you can't travel with DACUS because he ain't doing nothing. And I told them, yeah, I'm telling y'all the truth. They stopped having me come to preach for them. They stopped going, you know, we go to certain events, church events and conferences. And, you know, some of them even worked with me in the video business. And we can't travel with DACUS because, you know, DACUS ain't. But wow. And a couple of them, you know, you deserve, I have a spirit of discernment. I discerned something going on with one of the pastors and his secretary. And I confronted him about it. I just preached for him. You know, I raised big offering. And matter of fact, they gave me a nice offering. And, you know, and I used to come there all the time. But after I confronted him, he hadn't had me come preach at his church since. That's been over, just 2000, that's been over 24 years ago. But he was traveling with me real strong before that. And I did it as a brother. And I said to him, I said, man, you got to be careful, man. You got 350 members. You know how many pastors wish they had 100 members? I said, man, you got a strong congregation. I said, man, this could damage your whole congregation. He stopped talking to me, never had me come again. And I would call, it took about, 18 years before he'd answer a phone call from me. Wouldn't answer the phone. And we had another mutual friend, but he wouldn't talk to me. And I knew why, but I was trying to help him. But a year after I had the conversation with him, his wife found out, one of his deacons found out. Within a 2-week period, he went from 350 to 50 members. Just like that. Now, he's bounced back, but he ain't nowhere near where he was back then. But people don't want, see, and that's the whole thing for me is we have to cultivate that good behavior. And you can't cultivate good behavior entertaining. And I'm just saying, when you're entertaining your mind with all this negative stuff and it's entertaining to you and appealing to you, come on, there's something going on subconsciously. That thing, a seed is being planted. You got to be careful about what you let in your mind. Because what happens is, here's what they did with television programming. They use television program to first desensitize you to those things that are bad or that we consider bad or sinful. So they desensitize you first. In my thesis, I brought up Murphy Brown. And I brought up this show. I can't remember. I think it was called The Newsroom. And in the newsroom, Murphy Brown was when they first started talking, when the women, she started promoting having a child without the man being involved, being a single mother and absolutely not wanting the man to be involved. But she wanted to pick a man who had all the characteristics that she wanted her child to inherit. Okay, they did a whole season of that on Murphy Brown. Then on the newsroom, this is when, you know, they're just getting over the AIDS epidemic, and there are a lot of people in Hollywood and in politics who were low down. They call it on the down low, but they were just low down. And they were trying to get the public to be desensitized. So what they did was they had this character who was part of the newscasting crew, and found out that he was in the closet. It got discovered. And so when they first discovered it, they had one character on the show who was a diehard Christian. You know, he was against it. He wanted them to fire him. He didn't want to have nothing to do with him. He didn't want him in the lunchroom or the break room with him. If he came in the room to get coffee in the morning and the guy was in there, he'd turn around and go out and wait till he came out. And then he'd go and wash the coffee pot and all that and make new coffee. You know, he was just that, you know. Well, first they started making it humorous, making jokes and having people laugh about it. Then in the next season, they had a tragedy happen to the homosexual and made all of the cast members, but this one guy, started being sympathetic. They desensitized them. The tragedy made them sympathetic to him. Now, doesn't mean I don't agree that, you know, the guy should have been harsh with him. But if something is wrong, it's wrong. But they started, huh?
I said they demonized the Christian.
Oh, right. They demonized him for not liking the demonic influence on this other guy. So
they also made him over the top too.
Exactly. They
so
made him over the top.
So that the other viewers would you know, basically
they demonize,
reject him as well.
Right. They demonize. So by the time they get to the last season, oh, he's out of the closet, and you know, his boyfriend been introduced to everybody. You know, he done went through this tragedy and now has recovered, and you know, everybody now is his buddy. And I don't remember how the other guy left the show. I don't know if he got fired or he left and quit. But anyway, you know, he was faded out. And all of this was what? This was a visual programming of the audience, because it wasn't soon after this show goes off, within a year or two now in the political arena, all of this is when they came out with fighting for gay rights is on a par with fighting for civil rights. Now all of a sudden it's the same thing. You know, of course, some of the church folks say, well, we didn't choose to be Black, we didn't choose to be male, we didn't choose to be female, we didn't choose to be Hispanic, you know, but of course, oh no, and that's when they came out then with, well, it's not a choice, they're born that way. So, you know, they always have a comeback.
But I have a comeback to that.
Yeah.
Jesus told Nicodemus, you must be born again. So even if he was born that way,
yeah,
he was born again.
And so you see all of this taking place, and this is why, you know, when I wrote the paper, I actually did it. Okay, you know, it takes a while because, you know, it took 2 years of watching. Every 3 months, I changed the type of television programming I would watch. I do my, you know, thesis on it, information, all my research. And, you know, I even watch cartoons. Oh, you guys will be surprised what subliminal messages were being inserted into cartoons. And one of the craziest ones were the X-Men. I'm just telling y'all what I discovered reading this stuff. And this is how I got into the whole thing of Catholicism, Masonics, the different symbols of organizations. You look at the Muslim symbols and the Masonic symbols, they're almost identical. As a matter of fact, in the ritual of going from the 32nd degree, which is what most people think is the highest. From the 32nd to the 33rd degree, you go to this temple in Washington, D.C. And when you approach the temple, part of the ritual is to remove the Holy Bible off of the pedestal and replace it with a Quran. And that's your ascension into the 33rd degree. Now, I questioned, I had an uncle who was involved in it, and he kept telling me I knew the Bible too well to not be a Mason, because I could make a whole lot of money and get me a big church if I just joined the Masons. And I told my uncle, I said, I said, because I got a problem. Number one, I said, you in a position in your lodge, they call you the most worshipful master. I said, the most worshipful master I know is God. And I said, ain't no way I'm going to call another man most worshipful. Because most mean there ain't none more than him, period. And that's the conversation I had with my uncle. He never entertained me anymore about that, because I'd also asked him about, well, how is it y'all say you're a Christian organization when anyone from any recognized religion can join? And when you go from the 32nd to the 33rd degree, which everybody don't get to do, you got to remove the Bible and replace it with the Quran. You saying that has more authority than the Bible. You know, we got into a few, well, it never bothered me again about it. But I got into that from what I discovered watching the cartoons, X-Men and their symbols, and Skull and Bones. You'll notice in the cartoon, they have the symbol of the X-Men was Skull and Bones. Now, the only time I had seen Skull and Bones before that was on Poison. So that led me to some, and then I researched Skull and Bones. Then I found out about Boule. And then I found out about fraternities and sororities.
About Batman.
Yeah, Batman. And then I found out about Eastern Star. Okay, you know, let me tell y'all something. And a lot of Christians, a lot of believers are caught up in these things. There's a young lady, I'm going to find her name. She did some videos about 5-6 years ago, and she was one of the high-ranking Deltas. And she tells her testimony. And I'm telling you, you need to listen to some of the things she said and how they reveal. See, there's some hidden things going on. And the Bible talks about things that are done in secret and things that are covered. It's going to be uncovered and it's going to be brought to the light. And nothing hid going to remain hid. It's going to be made known. You know, there's a whole lot of stuff that we participate in. We don't really, I mean, we think it's harmless. We think of the brotherhood and the sisterhood and but what else is going on under the hood? That you got to be real careful about this stuff. All right, y'all.
This hurts somebody.
Huh?
As I actually just listened to this this man, and he was at a bishop's church in North Carolina, and he has a book called "Should Christians Pledge?" And obviously, you know the answer to that question. But you know, he talked about, he read some of like their what do you call it? Their chants, or you know,
right.
And it praises their whoever, you know, the sorority or the fraternity. And then he talks about, you know, what's behind that, the rituals and stuff like that. He wants people to know that they try to hide those things, but yet, you know, they're supposed to, if you're a Christian, you almost kind of got to renounce some of your Christianity to join those things because of what they require you to do. And then when I found out that it's for life for some of these, or for a lot of them, for the sororities and for fraternities, you got to answer to them at certain times. I was just like, that's crazy. And I remember for a short period of time, I thought I wanted to join one, and I was like, nah. And I think my dad talked me out of it. Well, not like I was really getting into it, but he talked to me about it the most, especially when he told me, what he almost did. So it was, kind of like a wake up call, like, okay, this is really interesting that, church people. And then when you were talking about the Masons, I used to think when I was a little bit younger, probably about 10 years ago, because you go to lodges for certain events and stuff like that, and I was always wondering, I'm like, what is this, like, what goes on here? And you look at the symbols on the wall, and I'm thinking it looks kind of like cultish. And then I watched what's that movie, oh shoot, with Nicolas Cage, National Treasure.
Oh yeah.
And he talks about the Masons or whatever, and you get that they show you the one side of it where they did good things and stuff like that, and but of course they're not gonna get any deeper than the good stuff that they did, air quote. And they're not going to show you how they influenced certain things throughout American history. And then you want to find the root of where they came from even before Americans, before American history started. So these are the types of people that if you were to try to point fingers about who was trying to set up the one world order, you look at the Masons. And it's just like the stuff that connect, like you were saying, like a lot of the stuff is connected. And it's just crazy because I used to look at that stuff and I'm like, wow, this stuff is really scary if people were, pay attention.
How you doing, Ms. Devin?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Don't let television fool you, and don't listen to everything that people say, because those are the individuals who've never been involved. All they do is watch television, get an opinion. If that's the case, Trump was the best president in the whole world. There's never been a good president because Trump is the best president. Don't believe what you see on that television. It's an experience that you have to experience. There's things in there, like you said, because the unknown, people look at it like it's demonism and it's all of this, and they do all of this and do all of it, but none of them have been through it so that they can truly come out and tell you, if they wanted to tell you, what it's all about. So it's a lot different than what this television and all that stuff is, portraying it to be. So, this whole conversation is about be programmed by those who want to program you. So, don't believe everything you see. It's not a demonized, it's not a devil worshiping kind of thing. It's not about all that. But good to see you and hear you, because I've been gone for a while. How you doing, Brother Sam?
Fine. So it sounds like I think she mentioned that some of the people that she had researched, they were actually had been through it. Yeah. I think she said that in the beginning.
Yeah, but at the same time, I can tell you about swimming, but if you've never been swimming, you really don't know what it's all about.
I've been through some of this stuff myself.
Okay, well, that's the thing. Like you said, you can believe what you want to believe, but sometimes you have to be a part of to really understand what it's all about.
Well,
yeah.
And a lot of the things that I discovered in the research were from people who had been in it and the stuff that had happened. And there's
let me ask you, were there 3 or 4?
There's a surface. That's what I'm talking about. There's a surface presentation, but there's some other things that go on. Like I say, my uncle was a 32nd degree.
Okay.
And I had some in-depth conversations. I asked him some questions. Some of them he talked about, some he refused. He didn't want to say or get into. But here's the thing, especially on the order of you get to a certain level and you're now changing your position on the Bible versus the Quran. or or you're doing other things that are not kosher or
You
right.
don't know that, Al. You're guessing.
No,
And
I'm not
again,
guessing.
No,
I'm
no,
not
again,
guessing.
because you're not a part of it, it's
But
hearsay.
I don't have to be a part of it.
But it's hearsay.
If someone who's a part of it tells me what they've done and what goes on, I don't have to be a part of it to know about it.
Okay.
I don't have to be.
I'm through. I'm through. I'm shutting off my mind.
Let me ask you.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Let me ask a quick question. Because how many of us believe that George Washington chopped down a cherry tree?
Well, Harold can answer that question. I'm not.
No. That's five of us. There's five of us on. How many of us believe that?
I have no idea, Harold. I mean, Sam.
How many of us believe that growing up?
I believed it growing up because I was told that.
Right. I heard it, but I didn't know nothing about it. Didn't care about it.
But initially, you believed it because this is what you were being taught. Then, same thing with like Columbus discovering America. Then you were taught. So until you have information otherwise, this is what you hang your hat on. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying this is where people are, in their academic pursuits. But you can glean a lot from reading excerpts from, because that's basically what the scripture, the Bible is excerpts from people who lived it.
Yeah.
Holy men as they were inspired. So,
I mean, it's like reading the diary of
the accounts, and then it's a certain faith, a level that has to be involved in it all.
Right.
You take it by faith.
It's like reading the diary of Anne Frank or anybody's diary. Either you believe it or you don't. You still got to make that decision. Right. And with the facts presented to you and other surrounding bits of evidence that are given to you, then you can make a proper, analysis, an educated analysis on what actually went on. Right. So all I'm saying is, stuff that gets, okay, it's basically an option of you choose to believe it or you don't. You can choose to be blind or you don't. It's one of those, there are none so blind as those who won't see. So
I have an easy,
like Trump should be the world.
Just to quit.
You say quit.
Trump gonna be elected back on president 24.
But he's still the president.
Just to quit the saying something.
Hey, listen, y'all. Hello.
Come on.
Listen, y'all talking about being taught. Okay. My grandson is in the 3rd grade. He's learning that Columbus discovered America. Now we was taught that, but as we grew older, we knew we had sense enough to know he couldn't discover America if the Indians was already here.
Exactly.
Now that's what we're talking about. It don't come to you until you get older and your mind develop and you learn things. I mean, they teaching that stupid mess to my grandchild. All of them got taught that. We got taught that. But we didn't learn no better till we got a little older.
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And even though people will teach certain things, I remember Dalen was in the 2nd grade, and he come home one day, Grand, Johnny got 2 daddies. And I asked him, who told you that? Now they had just sent this thing out about the Bible or kids reading the Bible in school and blah, blah, blah. Now they were letting the Muslim kids read the Quran and have gatherings, but not the Christians. They had to do it separately and off campus. They were protesting it. So I go to school the next morning and I told him, I said, listen, because I told Dalen that night when he told me, I said, listen, your honey and I we made your mama, your auntie, your uncles. I said, let me explain something to you. Your mama and your daddy made you. Your daddy couldn't have got with another man and produced you. Your mama couldn't have got with another woman and produced you. So I don't care what they telling you, that's not facts and it's not true. And I went to school the next day and I said to them, y'all wrong teaching my grandson. I'm a pastor. I'm his grandfather. We're raising him and y'all are not giving him right information. I said, now, if y'all want to teach him to respect people who live in that lifestyle, that's one thing. I said, because nobody should disrespect anybody because of their lifestyle choice. But don't tell him that that's natural or nature, because it ain't. And I meant what I said. Now, when I first, got into all of this and started doing the research, I talked to people I knew who were involved. Some questions they would answer, some they wouldn't. Matter of fact, I had a couple of them ask me, how you know all this? Where'd you get your information? You know some stuff you shouldn't know. Well, I know I'm trying to verify. Well, that clued me in the way they, come at me. So I did some research, and then I found some stuff on Alexander Crowley. Now that really woke me up. I researched that. Then there's a guy, I can't remember his name. It's on one of my other computers because I had a list of all his videos he did. Now this been about 20, 25 years ago. Not longer than that, because this was in 94, 95, 96 when I was doing the research. But he did this whole thing about once being in the Masons, the Black Arts, and he was in the what's the other one? Because the Knights and then the Shriners. He went all the way. Matter of fact, he talked about degrees some of us ain't never even heard of. But all the stuff that goes on. But let's think about this. It's just like the church. And I said this earlier. I stopped traveling in certain circles because of what I was seeing and because of what was going on. This stuff is coming out now. And for someone to say, well, you can't, no, that ain't happening and blah, blah, blah. And, if you wasn't there, then if somebody admits to it, I don't have to be there. If they admit to it and I take it as credible evidence, I'm taking it as credible evidence. But there's some stuff that has come out. And I'm talking about people I know personally who have been caught up in these unsavory, unethical acts and calling themselves men of God and women of God and the stuff that's going on. And I'm talking about this ain't just started happening. The thing I'm saying is that this stuff is existing, and a lot of times what they do is it's presented publicly to desensitize people against something. You got now one of the most influential ministers of our time is now promoting the LGBTQ ABCDEF HIJK LMNOPQR. He's promoting all of that now as if something is wrong with anyone. As a matter of fact, here's what he says. Carlton Pearson says, anyone who preaches or teaches against homosexuality has a personal issue that they're fighting because they're one really. This is what he said. So now, see, that's a deflective way of saying, well, if anybody preach about it, that means that's one of their issues. No. You can think all you want to think. I'm going to still preach and teach against it. It's not one of my issues. I ain't never had that issue. I had issues with women. And that's all I've ever had issues with. And I'm going to keep having that issue. I ain't having no other same-sex issue but I'm gonna show preach and teach against it. But Carlton says anyone who does, that's their problem. That's why they're preaching and teaching against it. And so you can make it sound credible, which he tries, but he's very unsuccessful at it, especially for someone. Because the other day, a couple weeks ago, he had the show on. I think someone sent me a link. I watched the whole thing, and I'm going. I mean, you if you're intelligent, you're just going to listen. You're going to hear how he's deflecting, where he's going off base, and how he's trying to bait and switch, and all the stuff he's doing. But he's covering up the wrong by just simply saying nothing wrong with it. He never brought the scriptures to bear that teach against it. He never brought the credibility of nature about it. All he said was, you got a problem if you can't handle it. And here's one of the greatest deflections of all that people use, especially on that topic. God's a loving God. That don't mean nothing. I love my children, but I got a couple of them who have confused their sexuality. Don't stop me from loving them, but I sure don't agree with their lifestyle choices. It don't make me love them any less. But it also, because I love them, don't make me support the foolishness they trying to promote. And they know it. They know their daddy. They know, I don't agree with that. They welcome to come around me. They welcome to come to family gatherings. You know, one don't show up because he's too ashamed. The other was, she come to everything we have. And she'll tell everybody, that's my daddy. He's a preacher, you know, and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, listen, God loving you has nothing to do with you doing right or wrong. He gonna love you anyway. And he says this, when you wrong, whom he loveth, he chastens. He gonna correct you because he loves you. And so my whole point about this is, this stuff exists. We're in denial about it. And too many Christians are participating in stuff they shouldn't even be connected to. There are things going on. And this is why, you know, my choice was made because of what I saw, what I witnessed. I don't have no part of it.
Hey, I just want to say I love you guys. I got to go cook dinner, and I'll see you guys.
Put mine aside, and I want it hot when I get there.
Yeah, right.
I'm serious. All right. So, you know, it boils down to this. We must be accountable, biblical, and credible. That's what my Bishop Murray says. The ABCs got to be accountable, biblical, and credible. See, and when you're only in the beginning, you know, and I wish he'd have stayed on because I wanted to make this point. He asked, or you the third or the fourth? Well, see, them first 3 degrees, that's all fluff. From the 4th through the 20-something, some more stuff. They get into that 32nd. And then, you know, here's the thing that they don't tell you about them secret parties and their secret gatherings and what goes on there. Some brothers were interviewed when it first came out about the low down brothers. They call them the down low. Call them low down. The low down brothers in Atlanta. Atlanta has the greatest population of male on male sexing. And a lot of them will tell you they're not homosexual. It's just sex. They say that. The women in Atlanta say that's one of the biggest problems they have. And the fact that, you know, that it's such a danger for them there, especially with the AIDS. But those men that were interviewed all admitted they were introduced to this in their fraternity days. Some of their fraternities even had this as a ritual in order to get to a certain status. But it's all secretive. But what does the Bible says? Nothing done in secret won't be revealed, and nothing done in the dark won't be brought to the light. I'm paraphrasing. The fact is, it exists, and denying it don't make it go away. You know, Trump says he didn't lose the election. Well, he can deny it all he wants. He's not the president. He can say that it was rigged all he wants. Hey, the proof. You know the tree by the fruit it bears. My point is, if we're going to get to that place, Galatians 4:24 says that when you've been crucified with Christ, you also crucify your flesh with your affections and lusts. He says, come out from among them and be separate. This was the whole premise of our existence when I was first introduced to church and salvation. They preached that to us. Come out from among them and be ye separate. We want to be with everybody. We want to hang with everybody. We want to do what everybody else does. Now, if whoever's comfortable with that, that's fine. But I'm turning down the invitations to come and participate because I'm not comfortable with it. And I believe what the Bible says. Right is right, wrong is wrong. You can't keep pushing the envelopes trying to figure out what can I do and still say I'm saved. What can I do that sinners do and still say I'm saved? If I got to be the wallflower, I'll be the wallflower. I'm sorry. I'm not going that way. And the more I read the Bible, the more I understand, and the more I see what God is calling for. Like I said the other day, the new thing is YOLO. You only live once, YOLO. But I believe in YOLO. You only die once. And it's appointed unto every man to die, and after that, the judgment. I don't want to stand before God and have wasted all my time preaching and teaching this word of God and miss out because I decided, well, God ain't going to destroy me for this. I can do whatever I want. He cool with it. I'm not going to do it. A young man on YouTube the other day, talking about, I got a connection with God. Yeah, I'm a homosexual and I'm an elder. I was ordained an elder. And I preach and I do. And he on there, he done put his collar on. So today I ain't gonna cuss because I got my collar on it. And he says, I got a connection with God, and you don't want me to pray because when I pray to my God, y'all see what happened to so-and-so. Say, God will kill you if I go to him. I'm going like,
sound like a sorcerer. That's what he sound like.
And he doesn't understand that scripture. Many shall come. Say, Lord, Lord. He said, everybody say, Lord, Lord. They ain't with me. Lord, I prophesy in your name. I lay hands on your name. I pray the sick will recover. I did all of these, worked these miracles and did great wonders in your name. And he simply responds, I don't know you. Never did.
Never.
Huh?
Never knew you.
I don't know you. Never knew you. Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. So you got people who work in the scam. You got people who are only doing church because they think it's lucrative. So much stuff is coming out about that fella back in New York. He did a thing about the church welcomes hip hop back in 2015. He been trying to get in the limelight in the church world ever since. But he's a criminal who decided that, hey, I can make some money scamming folks being a preacher. it's a lucrative job for some people. You know, I got to go out and work, make my money, because I don't get too much because I ain't talking the right thing. You know, but I mean, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. That's all I'm saying. All right, y'all. Anybody else got something they want to say?
He just went all down the road.
Yeah, I did.
They got under your collar again.
Why didn't you stop me, Devin? No, quit push me.
What I
Right. Right.
do? What I do?
You say, we teaching. We supposed to be learning.
Just to quit, you pushed the wrong button.
Quit push me. She pushed me, y'all. I'm sorry.
We need to put a lid over that red button.
Is that right? Yeah. Well, you know, look, here's the thing though. And I love everybody. If that's your issue and you don't agree with it, that's well and fine. But I'm not going to stop talking the way that I'm talking because I know what I'm talking about. And I have,
Oh, go ahead and finish.
No. And I have spoken to people who were actually there. I don't have to be in it and participate to know everything that's going on. If a man tell me he a homosexual, I can repeat it. And I don't have to, you know, like somebody said, well, how do you know? Have you ever been with him? No, I ain't been with him, but he said it. And if he admitted it, yeah, then I can repeat it. That's all. That's all, folks.
What were you gonna say, Brother Sam?
I forgot. I'm old.
Oh no, Sam.
Oh no.
I really did. Y'all know
Well,
I had a senior moment, so
oh,
that's what happens when you cross over, you know, into
a certain line.
yeah. See, I'm not climbing up the rough side of the mountain. I'm on the way down now. See, I done did all the climbing I'm gonna do. My knees can't handle the climb no more.
Yeah.
Help him, Lord, help him.
Yeah.
Because see, I'm not like the songwriter. When the songwriter said, "Don't move the mountain, give me the strength to climb it," I believe the Bible. The Bible tells me to say that mountain move. I ain't trying to climb the mountain. See, that ain't biblical, but so the Bible never tell you to ask for strength to climb it. He said you can tell that mountain to move.
And be
I ain't climbing nothing.
And cast into
the
I ain't climbing nothing.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, you know, I know my brother took that personal because he'd been in that before, but I've had
he's still in it though.
Yeah,
he must still be in it.
And I've had the conversation with him, you know.
But but see, in all of that, because you know, we've all had experiences with a lot of things where you could see some good positive things that come out of an organization or a movement or whatever. But the overall, when you weigh it in the balance, you have to say, well, you know, because it's just like, see, me, I totally 100% agree with the concept of Black Lives Matter, with the concept, but I can't support the organization.
Right.
And they've proven just by what's going on that, you know, it's you know, the ideas are good, but because when man gets involved with stuff, he ruins everything. The implementation, he's like people, they claim, well, that, you know, the Bible was used to justify slavery, but that don't make the Bible wrong. That makes the people who used it wrong.
Right.
There was wrong people in the Bible. People don't want to, you know, they're like, oh, because it was in the Bible and they did something terrible, you know, that's awful. It's like, well, I didn't say he sanctioned that, but that's what happened. If that's the historical fact, that's the historical fact. I mean, you're not going to erase history just to please yourself. If something bad happened and, you know, it's written down somewhere and, you know, somebody's talking about it, that don't make them, you know, a co-signer to it. It's just, that's what happened.
Exactly. Because, like, you know, I'm going to say two things.
Uh-oh.
I heard some people pushing back, and they were upset because somebody had said that the Jews killed Jesus. But when you read the scripture, it was the head, the leader, the rulers. That don't mean that they make them evil.
The whole
but that's what
the whole
happened.
shebang.
Same thing. If somebody come on and say, that I like watermelon, I'm not gonna be offended by that.
Right.
And I like watermelon and fried chicken.
Yeah. And I think too, some people who have been involved in these things and they haven't been a party to those things want to say, well, it doesn't happen. Well, let me say, then there are those who have been in it who revealed all this. I'm grateful for the Shriners. They're the reason my brother can walk today. The Shriners
didn't cost a dime.
My parents did not have to pay one dime, not one penny for those 8 operations my brother had on his club feet. Lawrence walks today. Lawrence ran, played basketball. Lawrence drives to work every day and works at the post office. He never would have been able to do that had not the Shriners Hospital reached out and helped him. They raised that money for that purpose. That don't make them saints because they did that.
I remember all that.
People do a lot of good,
All that.
and just because they do good, their people, according to that scripture, are going to be cause of a lot of people making it in, who prayed, and a lot of people will be healed, delivered, and set free from their preaching and their ministries, but they themselves, Paul said, I got to keep myself under suggestion lest I preach deliverance to others and I end up a castaway.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you may not have witnessed it, you can't say it ain't happening when other people who've been in it deeper than you are saying, oh yeah, it happened, it took place. Yeah, and we can be hoodwinked and bamboozled about a lot of things and, taken to a limit and later find out we've been had. It's a fact, and let's just face it. There are some truth. I mean, I got blasted when I did that expose on Hag Jahan Moon because I showed the clip. And one of the members of his church called me up, who's a relative of mine, chewed me up and down and said I was wrong. And I had to tell him. I said, listen, all I did was show the clip. I didn't call any names. I said, and this wasn't about any individuals. I only wanted to show and prove she was making the wrong representation, presenting herself as the only begotten daughter of heaven and the savior of the world, the replacement for Jesus, because he didn't complete his mission on earth. I says, and if by chance this preacher with so much influence is introducing her as the daughter of heaven, something wrong with his theology.
No, something wrong with his head.
Well, that too. That too. And we shouldn't back off just because they have celebrity status.
Or because they're related to us.
Yeah. Or because they're related to us. Exactly.
You shouldn't back off unless God tells you to back off. And since he's probably not, don't back off. Don't apologize. Don't say sorry. I'm tired of people apologizing for their stances on things that they know to be right, especially the saints.
Right.
But people who, there's some celebrities and there's certain things that have been going on and they say things and they come back and they apologize. Like, you've already put your first and foremost opinion out. I take your first answer because what you put out, you took the time to type out and then press send. You had to have had some thought about it, especially if it's a strong stance on a hot topic.
Right.
And they're apologizing for everything. Same thing with the saints. That you get some of them, they're all apologetic about things. Well, I didn't mean that. And, They did trying to, backtrack and sweep up, and there's nothing to sweep up because you didn't lay out any dirt. You told the
Right.
truth. So stop apologizing.
That's right. And understand this. Sometimes people send you stuff because they really want to know. Sometimes they send because they think they got something that you can't deal with. Don't send it to me.
But then you also get the ones that say, yeah, but it was the way you said it. See, but I don't remember Jesus apologizing for turning over those tables.
There's no nice way to do that. I'm sorry.
When he called them vipers and he called them dog, he called that woman a dog in her face. He said it ain't meat to give the children's bread to dogs. He was
Right.
talking to her.
She did not get
She
offended.
didn't get offended.
She said, "Yeah, but the dogs eat the crumbs."
The crumbs off the floor.
Yeah, she used wisdom and she used her intellect. So yeah, okay, but all right. But I still need to get, I still need.
Them crumbs is good.
Yeah.
That's right. So, it is what it is. And and no apology.
So now if I go watch these shows now so I can find out what you're talking about, you're gonna talk about me.
Oh no. Oh,
I mean, yeah, I know of them. I just don't
Right.
don't know a lot about them.
I don't watch them either, but you sit and listen to people and they're talking about this stuff.
It's real.
You hear all the information you need to know. And let's face it, it paints a very negative picture about Black people with money.
Mm-hmm.
Because they all still act like they still in the projects.
Well, I want to push back on that.
Oh, here we go.
Well, because just because you in the projects don't mean you act like that.
Well,
oh yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, you know what I mean. They still
No,
like
but what
hood
you said,
rats.
it ain't what you meant, it's what you
What I
said.
said. Well, they still acting like hood rats. Nah. And they just as ghetto. Listen, them and them women had more beef about they husband, because the thing was the woman, well, you was looking at my husband and blah blah, and then one's about to stab the other. They all in these white dresses, all these doctors, they on vacation, and they acting a fool. Look at all this stuff on the commercial. This the Love and Hip Hop, as the new season supposed to be starting. You looking at how they made up. They got all this jewelry and nails. They got all this stuff, but they arguing and acting a nut over what? Some foolishness.
In the words of Aunt Esther. In the words of Aunt Esther.
Aunt Esther.
I'm not going to respond to that because she said she was too much of a lady. That's what she did. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
We calling him a messy fool.
Yo.
But let me say, in the words of Aunt Esther, watch it, sucker.
So, but just and once again, I think Devin said it earlier. Just because you going to school or made a few dollars, it doesn't change who you are inside, and vice versa. Matter of fact, I put a clip on my Facebook page early this morning from a 1963 interview. You guys got to go to my page and take a look at it. It's powerful, and the subject of the fact literacy came up in that, and just watch it. You'll see, because there's many people who are deemed quote unquote illiterate. They got more sense than those who've got PhDs. Doctors.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna say this in closing. They protested to get Amos and Andy off television, but Amos and Andy were all those guys, Kingfish, Amos, Andy, Calhoun. They were all entrepreneurs. And they were black folks at least doing something positive in the community. Now, I would rather watch Amos and Andy reruns than this new reality TV about black folks. And as much as they protested Amos and Andy, why haven't they come out again? And I wanted to bring this one up too. Those last several series that Tyler Perry wrote, I wouldn't even watch them. Sisters, Oval Office, it was two or three others. I wouldn't have watched none of that stuff.
It's all
The
trash.
haves and the have-nots.
It's all trash. The same formula, same
Yeah,
plugins. It's all trash.
exactly. But they went to him, and look, the church world really embraced him, but they never really looked at the message. Because if you notice, when all that was coming out, the next major thing that hit the political and social arena was transgender cross-dressing,
Mm-hmm.
desensitization.
Mm-hmm.
And you had all those comedians, Martin Lawrence, Big Mama, who's the other one?
Geraldine.
Geraldine. Well, yeah, right long before that, Geraldine. But I'm talking, recently.
All them.
Huh?
Yeah, Flip Wilson.
Yeah. Oh, he first did it. Yeah.
That's Geraldine.
Yep. The devil made me do it.
Yep.
So. Oh well.
I watch a lot of reruns of old shows. I watch more Beverly Hillbillies and Magnum PI and what's that other one? Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah.
More than I watch the new stuff.
There you go. So, and the fact is, let's just be honest about it. Until the church gets it right. If my people, he laid the formula. Till we get it right, God's not going to hear from heaven, not going to forgive the sins and heal the land. The land going to suffer till the church get it right. I don't know what else to say about it. So, I guess any other comments for today?
Just in response to the very first question you asked, you gotta die daily. You gotta die to live. You should be feeling things of your flesh die off as you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, you all. Thanks again for joining today. I appreciate all of you. And I just pray that, Devin, you're right. And I'm going to stop. I said jokingly when I said, well, I'm sorry. But no, I'm not sorry. And I do mean what I say and say what I mean. And we really have to make it absolutely clear that God is not playing, and this is serious business. And until we get it right as the church, and I'm not talking the organization, talking the organism, the body of Christ, till we get it right. And I don't care who you're affiliated with, we got to get it right and get the family back in order, even the church family, so that society will get back in order, because it's a free for all right now. And we in trouble. Thank you all. God loves you and I love you. Ain't a thing you can do about it. So I will see you all, Lord, say the same tomorrow, 5 p.m. on the round table. And we're going to see what's going on tomorrow with the questions. So thank you all again for joining. And
they were supposed to give us the questions tonight.
He you know what? I'm going to have to take it out of Elsa's hands, because he don't give the questions ahead of time, and he don't, and then when I ask him, he forgets. And so I'm going to take back over. because I think it's better if we know what we're gonna talk about. Although, thank God, I'm pretty good shooter from the hip, but I like to take
So
aim.
we're gonna be on YouTube again.
Yeah, we're gonna be back on YouTube again. We got that fixed last night, thanks to Brother Samuel. I figured it out and called him and tested it. It worked fine.
Okay.
All right, you all.
Give me a couple minutes afterwards off the air.
Off there. Okay, let me end the